Today is the time and place set for an original hearing for Tyler Harris, offender number 253030, and that is you, correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
Did you receive at least 7 days prior notice of today's hearing and a disclosure packet that you've been able to review?
Yes, sir.
I'll be taking testimony from you. Do you swear or affirm the statements you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Thank you. My name is Joel Robison. I'm a hearing officer. I work for the board. I'll be conducting your hearing today. You were tentatively scheduled for an original hearing back in September of 2022. The board continued that hearing to today with the expectation that you complete the sex offender treatment program and comply with your case action plan. So we'll go over whatever progress you've made in those areas here in a few minutes. Before we do that, I need to go over your commitment offenses with you. You have two separate cases. 211-700-096, forcible sexual abuse, second-degree felony. In case 211-700-097, sexual solicitation, Class A misdemeanor. If you could, rather than me read through all of the facts of the cases as outlined in the pre-sentence investigation, if you could just start with that first case that I outlined and provide your statement as to what happened, what you're responsible for.
Yes, sir. I made a lot of mistakes that night, and leading up to that night, I reached out to the victim. It was on Snapchat, social media. I asked her if she wanted to come over. We started talking. She said she agreed. I went to pick her up. She said she had to sneak out of her house that she was staying at. I waited down the street. When I picked her up, she had a friend with her. They got into my car. I drove them to my house, went down into the basement where my room was and the living room area. We started watching a movie in the family room, living room area. And then it started to turn sexual I thought it was. And I took the victim into my bedroom and I had sex with her.
And how old were you and how old was the victim?
I was 21 and she was 15.
And did you know when you first initiated the conversation that she was 15?
I did.
And any idea, thinking back, why you pursued that type of interaction with somebody that you knew was that age?
A lot of thinking errors, and the negative social group that I was in kind of led me into this path. It's incredibly stupid and embarrassing that I did these behaviors, and I did this. I'm completely ashamed of myself.
And then the second case involved you paying the victim $100 for her to flash you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you were about to say something else, and go ahead.
Just a lot of my old behaviors and the way I conducted myself had a lot to do with who I surrounded myself with and who I was around, and just simply not knowing that these were wrong behaviors as I was doing them.
You had a number of juvenile adjudications, starting in 2009, theft, truancy, 2010, disorderly conduct, 2011, harmful materials, lewdness, 2014, theft, interfering with arrest, 2015, lewdness, interfering with arrest, 2016. What did the lewdness adjudications involve?
I was in junior high. I think it was during lunch. I had some ping pong balls in my pocket, and being a dumb, I think it was 14, 15, I pulled them out of my pocket and asked, I think it was 3 or 4 girls if they wanted to see my balls. Just trying to be a funny teenager. It wasn't funny. It's
And
uncalled for.
you got put on probation. Looks like you got off juvenile probation when you turned 18.
Yes, sir.
And these were your first convictions, your only convictions on your adult record?
Yes.
All right. Never given the opportunity of probation, you were committed to prison on these cases?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then what have you been working on while incarcerated?
Been working on myself a lot. I did the SOTP program, the pre-program for that. I started MRT, but it didn't really seem like it fit for me. And then I did school in San Pete, like education. I have worked on my impulsivity. I have worked on problem solving. I've worked on negative social groups, negative emotionality. I worked on a lot of thinking errors. A lot of the ways that I was thinking and a lot of the things I was doing was absolutely inappropriate.
And you did complete the sex offender treatment program in July of last year. You completed a number of other classes that related to that program. And then early on in your incarceration, you completed anger management and getting motivated to change. You submitted a board packet. It outlined a variety of information for the board's consideration. You also outlined your release plans, so the board has all of that to consider. The incarceration timeframes related to these cases are, the first case was a second-degree felony, has a minimum 1-year sentence, potential 15-year sentence. The maximum sentence on that is August 31st of 2036. The Class A misdemeanor expired in August of 2022. Based off of your history, the nature of the offenses, the board calculated a guideline date. You have a 49-month guideline date, which puts you at September 30th of 2025. The board will take that date into consideration for possible release, and they can deviate from that however they feel it's appropriate to do so. They could release you sooner, hold you longer. If the board was inclined to release you at that guideline date, you would get a 4-month time cut from that date for your program completion. I would imagine, based off of the nature of the commitment offense, that you'd be required to follow through with parole supervision. Is that something that you've given some thought to? Are you willing to do parole?
Yes, sir. I'm willing to do anything you guys ask me to do. I am willing to continue bettering myself as I go through this process too.
All right. Any additional information that we haven't discussed that you would like the board to know?
I've set up opportunities. I've got a job waiting for me. I've got a fiance. Trent Steele should be the one that I'll be living with if I get approved to go to her address. I've got things in place and set up for if I do get released and am on parole, I will succeed.
All right. As a hearing officer, I don't make a decision in the matter. What I will do is I'll get everything that we discussed today, as well as all of the information in your disclosure documents, over to 5 board members for their review. They'll deliberate over the next couple weeks, make the final decision. Once they've determined what that final outcome will be, they'll mail you a board order. It'll outline if there's a release date, what that release date is, any contingencies, and then what the parole conditions are. I'm at the point where I'm ready to conclude the hearing unless you have anything additional.
I don't. Thank you.
All right. You should get that board order in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Thank you for your time today. We'll go ahead and conclude the hearing.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right. You too.